All right, let's dive right in. Today we're exploring a true paradigm shift in global procurement. I want you to just take a breath and adopt a calm, executive focus with me for a few minutes. Because we are officially stepping away from traditional reactive buying and introducing the Supplyxis long-tail negotiation system.
But before we even get into the system itself, I really want you to think about your current supply chain. Ask yourself, how do you actually create leverage when you literally have zero influence? It's kind of the ultimate buyer's challenge, isn't it? When you're dealing with this massive, fragmented network of global suppliers, let's be honest, you aren't always the biggest priority on their desk.
And well, that brings us right to what we call the long-tail paradox. You see, in the everyday world of global supply chains, most of your suppliers are not these massive strategic giants. They're long-tail suppliers. This means they represent a small individual spend, and because of that, they naturally get limited attention from your key account teams. But here's the paradox. Collectively, they represent a massive hidden impact on your bottom line. Because of their sheer volume, decisions have to be made impossibly fast, and yet, these are the exact areas where our decisions are typically the least structured.
Let's actually look at the chaotic reality of managing, say, 200-plus small suppliers. This environment is just full of inherent risk and disruption. I mean, you have absolutely zero time for deep collaboration. These suppliers naturally prioritize their bigger customers. Your requests, they're met with slow response times, or worse, just completely ignored. It's a high-stress, unstructured reality that is practically screaming for fast, scalable productivity.
And faced with all that chaos, a lot of buyers fall into a really common trap, relying on relationship building. But we have to understand a fundamental truth here. Long-tail negotiation is not relationship management. It is leverage design. We absolutely have to break this illusion that relationship building works at this kind of scale. You simply cannot build deep personal connections with hundreds of individual vendors. You're either going to accept their status quo pricing or you're going to waste a ton of your time. You have to design leverage instead.
So, what's the fix? Well, the Supplyxis system is the definitive, structured solution to this exact problem. Think of this as our blueprint. It entirely replaces improvisation with a clear, reliable structure. It's all about moving away from that fragmented, reactive network and adopting a mindset that is governed entirely by structured commercial logic. Now, at the very heart of this system are two incredibly fundamental emotional drivers: fear and excitement. Suppliers, just like anyone else in business, react primarily to these two triggers. On one side, you have the inherent risk, the fear of losing volume, and that allows you to apply risk and fairness pressure. On the flip side, you have the opportunity, the excitement of gaining share, which taps right into their ambition for growth.
And honestly, that brings us to a foundational rule of this whole framework. The best negotiations create pressure and opportunity at the exact same time. Think about it. If you apply way too much fear, trust completely collapses. But if you rely solely on excitement and these vague future promises, all your urgency completely disappears. Balancing these dual forces is exactly what prevents your negotiations from stalling out.
So, moving into the core toolkit, the 5 commercial levers. Let's look at how we create leverage from absolutely zero influence.
This is where we go from having literally no power to wielding 5 distinct, scalable commercial tools. First up, volume increase. This is tapping into a supplier's growth ambition by forecasting higher demands. Second, a market commodity drop, applying fairness pressure based on real, verifiable market indices, just making sure you aren't overpaying when raw material costs actually fall. Third, volume consolidation, triggering loss aversion by simply reviewing your supplier options and showing them their current share isn't set in stone. Fourth, business visibility, reducing their uncertainty through better forecasting, which is hugely valuable to their own operations. And finally, additional opportunities, creating a bit of strategic curiosity for future expansion, basically hinting at a wider partnership down the road if the immediate terms line up.
I really want to let this principle sink in for just a second. Leverage is not manipulation, it is structured commercial logic. These 5 levers, they aren't tricks. They are highly professional, ethical, and entirely data-driven tools designed to get you results objectively and fairly.
All right, the 3-round negotiation system. It's time to cross the threshold into structure and build the procedural engine that runs those levers.
The really crucial point here is that this 3-round system creates a reliable, closed loop for every single supplier interaction you have. Step 1 is round 1, understand the situation. Step 2 is round 2, alignment and pushback analysis. And step 3 is round 3, settlement and closure. You run this exact same loop every single time.
It completely removes the guesswork. It guarantees that whether you're dealing with supplier number 1 or supplier number 100, your approach is consistently highly engineered, predictable, and measurable.
Let's take a closer look at those first 2 rounds. This part is all about decoding the supplier's position. You're basically testing their flexibility and reading their emotional posture. Because when a supplier pushes back, you have to understand that early resistance isn't always financial. A lot of the time, it's highly emotional. It stems from trust gaps, maybe poor communication in the past, or previous negotiation friction. Your job in these rounds is to diagnose that resistance.
Which actually leads us directly to a profoundly strategic insight. Silence and resistance are not rejection, they are data. I want this to completely change how you view unreturned emails or initial supplier pushback. A no way isn't a failure. It is simply data telling you exactly which of those 5 levers you need to pull next.
Which brings us to the final phase, translating structure into numbers. This is round 3, settlement and closure. Let's actually look at how this builds the mathematical foundation of our success. If you have a baseline spend of €1 million, right, and you use our structured loop to yield just a tiny 3% improvement, you have just generated €30,000 in annual savings. We are taking a philosophical framework and turning it into real, hard, measurable cash.
And that outcome, it is completely non-negotiable. Every negotiation must end in measurable productivity. If you aren't measuring the financial impact, you literally haven't finished the loop. This is an absolute executive rule of the Supplyxis method.
And this naturally guides us to the ultimate reward, scalable compounding productivity, the true system transformation.
Just think about the profound math of scale for a second. A tiny 1% improvement multiplied across 100 suppliers, that equals a major strategic impact. Tiny, repeatable bits of leverage combined with high volume create a massive strategic advantage for your company.
100. I want you to keep that bold number anchored in your mind. It's not about fighting some grueling, drawn-out battle for a massive 20% discount with one single vendor. It's about taking the structured loop, applying the levers, and repeating it smoothly and professionally across 100 long-tail suppliers.
Because as this principle perfectly captures, in long-tail supply chains, scale beats perfection. You do not need the perfect, flawless negotiation every single time. What you absolutely need are consistent, structured repetitions across your entire long-tail board.
And when you finally achieve that scale, your reality completely transforms. That chaotic, fragmented, ordinary world we saw at the beginning of this explainer, it's gone. In its place is a clean, optimized executive dashboard. Your entire network operates with radically reduced inefficiency, all powered by a true scalable productivity model.
So I'm going to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought, which perfectly summarizes everything we've talked about today. Professional negotiators don't chase big wins, they multiply small ones. Take a look at your own supplier network today. Are you exhausted from constantly chasing the rare big win, or are you finally ready to implement the structure needed to multiply the small ones? Thank you so much for exploring this system with me today.